Hello, human peoples. You're listening to the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. To support us and gain access to great exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our latest show, Spiel Boys, head over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We do game streaming, movie nights with our patrons every Friday night, and you can even commission your own podcast about anything you want. Literally anything, within reason, and we have to do it. You are quite frankly out of excuses not to go visit patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds. Basking in the residual Halloween glow.
We're still covered in the Halloween slime.
Yep, covered in pumpkin goo.
Hi, everybody.
Which is what I call my seed. Hi, everyone.
My name is David Bell.
My name is Tom Ryman.
And we just watched Last Night in Soho.
Yeah!
Stands for Soap Hose. Last Night in Soap Hose.
Uh-huh.
Last night, I had a dream. There was a girl. I got this kind of gift.
And you are?
Sandy. I can see people, faces.
So I'll see you again.
You know where to find me. But they're not just dreams. They really happened.
What did you see?
A girl murdered.
Like a hose filled with soap.
Soap hose. Oh, sure, yeah, when you want to get everything clean.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you just hose them down with the soap hose.
Jesus Christ. This is an Edgar Wright film.
It is. It's the first Edgar Wright film in a long fucking time.
Well, since Baby Driver.
It's been like 5 years since Baby Driver, hasn't it?
Hi, how are you, Tom?
Oh, hello, hi, fine. I'm fine.
We never just talk. Okay. Yeah, I guess it is, but it doesn't.
We talk all the time. I speak to you more than any other human being.
On these like when we talk about movies, we just get right into it. There's no foreplay.
Yeah, that's true. We just dive right in. We don't even try to get it ready first.
Yeah,
a lot of friction, a lot of chafing,
a lot of
chafing in the opening 2 minutes.
Yeah, I guess it has been a while for Edgar Wright. It feels like his normal output. I don't know. When was Shaun of the Dead? Was like what, mid-2000s?
The Cornetto trilogy got banged out pretty close together. Shaun of the Dead was 2004, I think.
Right.
2004, 2005. Hot Fuzz was like 2007, and World's End was World's End was like 2012, I think.
So
that's been about right. Yeah.
Yeah, Baby Driver was like fun, but I've never gone back to it because there's a lot of monsters in that movie.
Mm-hmm. And then there's fucking Scott Pilgrim in between Hot Fuzz and
Scott Pilgrim, right?
Smot Pilgrim, yeah.
The Snot Pilgrim. I also think that I know this isn't about those movies, but like Baby Driver, his directing style, I didn't actually think was that fun for action. Because he tends to edit a lot. He's all about them cuts and stuff.
Yeah.
And it just didn't seem like a proper fit. This is his first attempt at like a movie that's more horror than comedy. I wouldn't even call this a horror comedy. This is a straight up horror movie.
It's
horror drama.
It's a supernatural mystery. Is what I would call it. With it splashes around in the shallow end of the horror pool, but yeah. It is not comedy. No, get that out of here. This movie. It's got
a couple moments. It has
like a normal movie. It has a couple of light moments, right. But this is not a comedy whatsoever.
Horror mystery.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of this movie?
I liked it. I think it kind of falls apart in the third act.
Ooh. Okay, so it's not perfect. I really like, I guess what I was getting at here is that Edgar Wright's style plus horror, straight up horror, I really liked. I loved what he did for this, like how he makes things scary. I really liked it. It was more of a tension build-up than like jump scares. I thought he went for...
Yeah, and it's disorienting.
Yes. he went for almost like the Shining style way of doing ghosts.
Very much so, yeah. The Shining, like all the tinges of well, maybe not Hausu, but like it just in how disorienting it is. Like you're meant to be experiencing what the main character is experiencing, which is just like an assault on all angles.
Yes. Yeah, I think he did a fucking fantastic job. And I think, I don't know, would you agree that the thing that I'm like, on is the actual script, is the story?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's a very difficult story, because it's trying to be a mystery, so it can't do the thing you think it's gonna do. Or it's like clearly not gonna do the thing that it's setting up.
What do you mean?
Where it's like, oh, this innocent woman was killed. Like, that's so straightforward that you kind of smell twists coming.
It also,
right?
her murder doesn't happen until like an hour and 20 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, it's a slow burn.
Well, it's like the movie.
So for people who haven't seen this, you should probably see it.
You should probably watch it because we're going to spoil the shit out of it.
It's about a young girl who wants to be a fashion designer, move into London, and they set up this idea that they honestly, this felt like they didn't need to, but they set up this idea that she's got the Shining, essentially.
Yeah.
And so she's susceptible, and her mother took her own life because her mother presumably couldn't handle being this sort of vessel. And going into a place like London where there's just so much history and violence.
That's one of the things that struck me about the movie when she's talking to Diana Rigg, her landlord, about was there anything that ever bad happened in here? And she's like, somebody has died in every room in London. Somebody's died in every street corner in London. Living in America, you forget how fucking old of a city London is.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's the more east you go, the older things get. Starting with California. Like living in New England, I remember, a house that's 200 years old. That's no big deal. And then you go over to actual England and you're like, they're like, please, 200 years?
Like castles. Fucking castles are there.
Yeah, whatever.
Fucking Hadrian's Wall.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like, sure, that's a cute 200-year-old fucking steakhouse or whatever the hell you've got in Colonial Williamsburg.
There was some news like 4 or 5 years ago where they dug up a parking lot and found a king.
Richard III.
Yeah. It's like...
It was in a fucking parking lot.
Yeah, it's so funny how that shit happens where it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
My kingdom for an economy car.
Anywho, yeah, so she goes to this dorm and they do everything they can to make the dorm as awful as possible in a very familiar way that dorms are bad.
Yeah. They're obnoxious.
And and this girl, she's like kind of a hipster. She's really into the 60s. She keeps to herself. She doesn't work in the dorm. So
I wouldn't call her a hipster. She is more she's the kind of person who would get teased. Like
she's a weirdo.
Extremely introverted. She wears very old-fashioned clothing. She's obsessed with the 60s. She'd get picked on. Like this is the kid that gets bullied, unfortunately. Yeah. Like a very quiet, mousy, nerdy person.
Right. But the side subtext of this movie is the 60s sucked. Where it's like, oh, this girl's obsessed with the 60s. And then she actually gets to experience it, and it's like, not fun if you're a woman, is it?
Well, it's not just the 60s. The movie's about one of the main themes of the movie is about demystifying a lot of things.
Yeah. But the theme she takes a taxi there, and the taxi driver's a creep.
Immediately creeping on her. Yeah.
They very much frame it as like, what's a horror movie? Just being a young woman.
Being a woman in any city. Yeah.
Yeah. And so there's that level of it, and there is an underlying theme about shitty dudes throughout.
There's a lot of stuff about predators. It's about things that have a glossy veneer, but like as soon as you get a little bit below the surface, it's like really really scary and dark and not the rosy picture you thought it was. And it does that with a lot of things.
So she moves to this flat. Mm-hmm. That's what they call it, right?
Sure.
And this old lady runs it. And she starts, when she goes to bed, she starts seeing what a young lady was seeing in the 60s.
Yeah.
It's all in the trailer.
Yeah.
And then you think, okay, this is this young lady. She goes to a club. She's going to be a star. She meets a handsome young man. She
meets one of the Doctors Who.
Yep. She meets Skynet.
That's right.
Yeah.
Matt Smith was Skynet.
Yeah,
that's right.
I was like, don't trust him. He's Skynet. And basically she starts seeing the life of this woman every night, and slowly becomes more and more horrible that she doesn't want to go to sleep, because this woman gets promised to be a star, becomes a background dancer, which is fine, but then is basically forced into sex work.
I mean, it's not fine. The show that they're doing is man, that's the first scene that you get in the movie. That's the first taste you get that like this is really bad.
I just meant being a background dancer.
Being a background dancer is fine. Being a background dancer in the show where she was is very much not fine.
It's an audience all of men. They're doing a marionette, sexy marionette.
Yeah, it's very Flesh Parade. Like it's this room full of dudes clapping and whooping and hollering, and it's dark. It's real dark. You're like, oh shit.
And so what? Basically, the narrative goes from that to she's forced to sleep with a bunch of men, and is eventually murdered by Skynet,
by Matt Smith.
Yeah. And so it's becomes our main character, who has met an old man at the pub she works at, mm-hmm. who just sure seems like a murderer and sure seems like old Skynet.
Yeah, it's Terrence Stamp. It's fucking General Zod.
Yeah, it is.
Richard Donner, Superman.
Absolutely.
Chancellor Valorum.
Yeah. And so it's her being haunted, and it's fucking up her regular life.
Mm-hmm.
And so the mystery unfolds where she assumes he's the murderer, and this is like one of the first twists you kind of see coming, because it wouldn't be a movie if it just played out like this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so it turns out that he was actually a cop mm-hmm. in an earlier scene, which that cop only exists to be him, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah. And so he's not actually the murderer. He gets hit by a car, which is part of like a running gag she has with him, where she keeps almost getting hit by cars after talking to him,
mm-hmm.
Which was cute. And then the reveal is that the woman didn't actually die and is her landlady. And it wasn't that she got killed. It's that she killed all of them. All the dudes.
Yeah, she killed Matt Smith, and then
Matt Smith
systematically killed every single dude in his little network of creeps.
Yeah.
And so she stuffed their bodies in the walls of the house.
Yes, which I really liked that detail.
Uh-huh.
I liked the ghost, the creepy dude ghost. And so this is where they have to walk this line, because the old woman is not a good person. Mm. When she realizes what happened, when she realizes she's being found out, she poisons our main character. The house gets lit on fire. She stabs
her boyfriend in the stomach.
Boyfriend. Yeah. And then the ghosts scumbags are like, kill her, save us, and she has to have a moment where she's like, fuck you guys too. Yeah. And that's the line they have to walk, where the victim is also the villain, where the victims are villains, basically, across the board.
Yeah. Yes.
And I really like that nuance of that.
It's a nuanced exploration of that. Yeah.
And basically, the old lady takes her own life.
She just sits down while the house burns down.
Yeah. All right. I do have some stuff I want to share. Grievances. I want to know what issues you had with the third act.
Well, First of all, it's the first two acts are pretty good. The first part of the film is great, I think. When she gets to London, starts having the dreams, gets really into it. Like she's vibing hard with this lady who's named Sandy. Sandy's the lady from the past, and
by Anya Taylor-Joy.
Anya Taylor-Joy, and then Thomasin McKenzie is Eloise or Ellie, who's the
what is she? Where do I know her?
Jojo Rabbit.
Ooh, yeah, she was great in that.
Old. She's the daughter in Old.
That's pretty funny. She's killing it in this.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's doing great. I was me and Hannah going to see it where I was talking in the car about how Anya Taylor-Joy is like this actress designed to be both seeming like a prey and a predator, and she can really, because she's kind of a blank slate, like and they literally do that exact thing in this, which I thought was neat.
They do a little bit of it in fucking Split too.
Yeah.
And in The Witch. It's
in The Witch.
I think it has a lot to do with she has such an interesting face. It's like she looks otherworldly almost. And
she's an amazing actress.
And she's a great actress.
I would say The Queen's Gambit as well.
I haven't watched that yet, but yeah.
Ooh, yeah, where her characters are often, they're complicated because you can really imprint a lot on her just from her looking at the camera.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, go on.
So yeah, where she's really vibing with Sandy and like starts dressing like her, and it's really influencing the work she's doing at her design college. But then the dreams start getting dark, and she starts getting real like she starts seeing the ghosts during the day, and like it's starting to become where she's just getting more and more harried. Yeah, and running out of class and like almost stabs a classmate in the face with scissors. That's a bad thing. Like
not cool.
No, I mean it's bad. It's in the script. That's bad. Because that she does that, and that's like there's serious repercussions for that we just yada yada over.
That's Hannah pointed this out when we left. The boyfriend is a big problem because he's just a smile, and he just accepts everything.
Yeah.
He just welcomes every red flag she throws at him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the reason was to counterbalance how shitty almost every other guy in the movie is. Yeah. Like they wanted to show like, look, they're not all bad.
Right. He wanted to show simultaneous because she's coming from the country, and like she leaves for London with that warning from her grandmother where she's like, listen, London it's not what you think it is. You have to be careful. And so like the first person she encounters is a cab driver that's really sleazily hitting on her and being creepy and scary.
Right.
So she's sort of like, and everybody kind of seems creepy and scary, and then she meets this guy who is just a smile. But
he is the second person she meets, I think.
Yes, but she blows him off. Like he offers him. Yeah, because she just met the cab driver.
Yeah, they make him out to be part of that pattern at first, and so it's supposed to be showing like not everybody's scary.
Yeah. I think my problem came in first with the second chunk of the movie where she's just kind of coming unraveled goes on for too long because it's like, okay, it feels rudderless for a while.
Yeah,
and then it ends with that fucking stupid ass clumsy shitting next to the toilet reveal with Terrence Stamp. It's the sweatiest, stupidest reveal when they do it.
He gets hit by a car and they say his name.
He gets hit by a car and she's like, oh, Lindsay. And he's like, his name's not Jack? No, his name's not Jack. He's Lindsay. And she says that and delivers it like that. And it's like from that point, it just... I don't know. Like that reveal really bugged me. It was like so sweaty and clunky, and just like what was even the point of this obvious? I don't know. It takes so long to get to the reveal that Sandy was murdered. That this,
but then she wasn't.
And then then of course we learn that she wasn't. But it takes so long to get to that point that it's just we don't have time to consider him as a red. The only reason you would be considering him as a red herring is if you saw the trailer beforehand. You know what I mean? Like we have no reason to think he's fishy outside of, oh, he was a scummy kind of pimp because we assume he's Matt Smith, even though he wasn't.
They don't. Yeah. It was the thing where, like, when they introduced the cop, and then they do this brief scene in the flashback where a cop is like nice to her, but still kind of creepy.
Sort of nice, like sort of nice.
Yeah, sort of nice. He's not great.
No.
But they do this sequence and then they just sort of move on, and it was like, well, that's got to be him.
Yeah,
because like that's either going to be the secret killer or the old man or both.
Or both. Yeah,
because it was just like, you don't put a scene like that in. Like, it's that thing where if you have to sneak in something like that, you have to give it a reason to exist other than being that. And they did not. So it's just like, well, that's clearly like an important character.
There's a lot of things like that. Like her fucking bully ass roommate Jocasta, which I understand the purpose of that character. We needed that character to.
She is a monster.
She's a fucking monster, just for like no reason. But like I guess the character exists so to get her out of the dorm and into her own apartment. But like when she almost stabs Jocasta in the face in the library, that's a serious, like, she would get thrown out of school. The cops would show up. Like, she rushes off to get security, and Ellie runs out of the building being chased by ghosts as the police are arriving. Like, she would be thrown out of that school and probably in jail because she almost killed someone in the middle of the library in front of a dozen witnesses. Like, you don't write that. Why would you write that into the movie? Like, why wouldn't... we have the boyfriend character, like you said, who's just a smile and is just there to like be cool and accept everything. Just have her almost stab him in the face. Like, why have it be Jocasta? Because that adds an extra complication that, in point of fact, is so complicated and has such serious repercussions that they just ignore them because it would ruin the movie to have to deal with those repercussions. So it's like, why the fuck was that in there? You know what I mean?
What they do is they basically... So from that point on, it's just one kind of rampage of ghosts and chasing. And
the movie's a mess from that point on, in my opinion.
That's fair. What happens is she does that. She gets chased by the ghost. She sees Sandy's ghost outside, follows her through an alleyway, and then goes to the pub, right?
Yeah, she follows Sandy's ghost.
Old man.
Yeah, which leads her to Terrence Stamp for some reason. Why would Sandy's ghost lead her to Terrence Stamp? No idea.
Right. And then she confronts him. He gets hit by a car. She finds out it's not actually him. She calls... I'm recapping it for myself too. She calls her grandma. She's like, I'm gonna go home. She goes home, and like at this point, I think the idea is like she's at large, you know? Like, she goes to the house, and that's, of course, obviously when you know, oh, it's the old lady, just because it's like, well, we're hitting the third act. And Edgar Wright's very good. One of the things he loves to do is make it not introduce any new locations. He loves, in the first act, setting up everywhere you're going to be.
Every single location, yep.
Yep. And that is often a very effective thing to do. Yeah. And so you realize, oh, it's all going to go down in this house. The house goes on fire, they do the confrontation, and then she gets dragged off in an ambulance, and then we just do hard cut to her doing great. And yeah, she's back at school.
And at the end of her first year, she has a sensational, I guess, first year project showing off her new clothing and then standing ovation. And even like her roommate, Jocasta, gives her like a begrudging applause. The woman she almost stabbed in the face with a pair of fucking shears.
Right. And that's where they basically they hide that all in a cut. Where they say, and everything's fine, and it's like, man.
Yeah, because they introduced something that was so complicated it ruined the story, so they just ignore it.
Yeah, that is a problem. And there are solutions. Like, I would argue they didn't need that woman to be so shitty, because they already make her dorm life awful. If they made her just like passively, the thing where she keeps like co-opting her tragedy.
Right. That was enough.
Yeah, that was enough. And then make it so that she's fucking in the room, and that like they didn't need her to be such a mean girl.
Yeah, it's weird that like Jocasta is obsessed with tearing Ellie down every chance she gets. It's like, why?
Yeah, I think they were playing with the idea because they do the part where when she hands them the drinks at the party, that I flagged that because I was like, oh, that looks suspicious. And we learn it's almost like a gaslighty thing where she has to consider, oh, did she drug me?
Mm-hmm.
And then they drop that immediately. And that was weird to me because at no point except for that one scene does the film pose that idea that it's in her head. It's like, well, we know she's psychic. They made her psychic.
Yes, so that's the other major problem I have. So finish that thought. I'm going to swoop in.
Well, it seems like they are opposing ideas. As if they wanted to do is it all in your head? Have her mom have a history of mental illness.
She did.
But they do the psychic stuff. It's all the psychic stuff.
They never explicitly say that her mom saw ghosts. They just said her mom had mental problems and killed herself.
Well, she says that, but like what the grandma keeps saying is like she says to her grandma like I haven't seen her in a while.
Mm-hmm.
It's implied that this is a family of psychics. Like I thought in the first 10 minutes, oh, they're a family of psychics.
Oh, I didn't think that at all.
Oh,
I just took that as her grandmother is aware that she will see her mother's ghost.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
She's had a breakdown before. Yeah.
It just seemed to imply that the grandma was talking to her not like she has a mental health issue, but that she had the shining.
Yeah, like her grandmother accepts that she sees ghosts.
Yeah,
without question.
Yeah, I guess I believed it because the movie made it seem like okay, that's the premise.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and so that's when that brief moment of like, are you sure there wasn't something slipped in your drink? It was like. No, of course not. Like she's seeing ghosts. Like,
yeah.
That idea was like, unless they had flashbacks to show like, oh my God, every time she saw this stuff, someone handed her a drink or something to eat. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But like the fact that she was seeing it throughout, we didn't really need that.
I think it was maybe just to diffuse her going to the police. After she has the vision of what she thinks is Sandy's murder.
Right. The police
but
stuff.
But we don't need that. We didn't need that extra element to understand why the police wouldn't believe her. Like, of course the police wouldn't believe her. You come in like, I had a dream about a murder that took place 70 years ago. They're going to be like, all right.
That's also where I think
60 years ago.
I think that's the slog you're identifying is I didn't need her to go to the police. I didn't need any of that. The old lady could find out just by looking at her art or like, you know, like the only reason the police get involved is because they need the old lady to realize.
Yeah, but I mean, it makes sense. Like you would go to the cop if she. Yeah. So like I didn't have a problem with that. What I had a problem with was it's kind of we're touching on it. It's the fact that okay, so we're presented from the beginning, from the very first scene, we're presented with the idea that Ellie can see ghosts, and not only that not only that she sees ghosts, but like her grandmother accepts that it's real. Like we all accept that it's real. So from jump,
right,
we know that she actually sees ghosts, and like every dream she has about Sandy in the past is literal. Like this is literally what happened to Sandy in the past. The only time it's any different is when she sees Sandy's quote unquote murder. And the only reason it's different there is so that we don't know what the ending is.
Yeah, that's the only reason the twist, because all those things that they're setting up, it's structured like, of course there's a twist.
Mm-hmm.
But the movie creates a system where you're expected to believe this is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie lies to you.
The movie tricks you. The movie breaks its own rules to get its twist, because that is the only thing she sees that is not literally true.
What's weird is that a lot of what we're identifying could be avoided very easily. For example, if she doesn't see the murder, she just sees the knife get raised and screaming, and then that's it. Then it's like, oh, she got murdered, and then you reveal like, oh no, had you seen a second later, you'd see that no, she killed him. You know what I mean? Like
it's a lot of really easy fixes. Like we didn't need Jocasta giving her the drugs. She should have tried to stab her very agreeable boyfriend in the face because he would just let that go.
I also think the boyfriend has a line where he's like, my aunt's into crazy stuff. He could have said like something a little more like, my sister had mental health issues, or like I have, like something where it's like you understand why he's trying so hard.
Yeah, I think
because she's throwing so many she is terrifying.
She's behaving like
He should be mad at her, or he should be upset. And every time she screams, he gets kicked out of the house because she's screaming uncontrollably. He cuts his feet on a mirror, and then the next day he's just like, "Hi, are you all right?" And it's nice, like it's good that he's forgiving, but he's not seeing the movie we're seeing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the stabbing in the face thing. It's like, at what point should he be like, I think we need to get you somewhere. Like, I think we need to get you to the police or in somebody's custody because you are having a breakdown.
Yeah.
And you are trying to murder people.
Yeah.
So like it didn't feel like it sort of hit a point where it's like, okay, buddy, like you need to get away.
Yeah.
She's going to get you stabbed and almost lit on fire.
Mm-hmm.
If you stay.
You're going to get stabbed by Diana Rigg.
Yeah.
It's that bugs the shit out of me. Like it's it's like any number of those like Perfect Stranger or movies like that where it's like the movie has to lie to you and break its own rules.
Right.
Like
here's what's funny.
It's just
here's what's funny is my head was like, I was aware of that. Like when I left the theater, I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
And I had this like, since like I literally just watched this movie. I think you did too. Since coming home, it's been bugging me a little. What's funny is that I'd never pinpointed it because the execution, in my opinion, of all the scares was so refreshing to me. I really liked how this was directed.
Yeah, it's a well-directed film.
It kind of, that was enough for me to really like this film, even recognizing all this. Yeah, it's not a good script. There's a lot of problems.
That's kind of always been Wright's problem, right? Like he's an excellent director. He makes these crackling films that are fun and engaging. He knows how to do a lot of different styles, and it's such a unique style that is his own. But he's not the best writer.
I would argue it's not that I think he's had a lot of really good, well-written movies. I think obviously his first three. I think
honestly outside of the Cornetto trilogy, and I wouldn't even call World's End's okay, but like Hot Fuzz is like the tightest of those, I think.
It's more that he can be hit or miss, I think, with his scripts. Like,
I don't know. Like it's like Scott Pilgrim, Baby Driver. They're like,
yeah, I think those are the two that are the weakest.
Yeah.
Like again, I haven't seen Baby Driver in a while. Did we review it?
No, it came out before we were doing this.
Oh, okay.
I think it's because his directing is never in question. So I think it's his writing is definitely the weakness here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
all of his movies are very well directed, and it's kind of shaky
I also
scripts.
think his dialogue is usually really good. It's the broad strokes that we're talking about for the most part. It's like, it's broad strokes, and in this case, I think this is the shakiest some characters have been, or rather, oddly two-dimensional when they didn't have to be.
Yeah. Especially considering like the two main characters, Ellie and Sandy, are so complicated.
Yeah, and they're really good.
Yeah. Man, those sequences are awesome. When they're seeing each, and then the fucking dance when she's having her first dream about Sandy meeting Matt Smith,
cutting between.
That is so good.
The mirror, the reflections when she's going up and down the stairs,
and it's not even just that they keep switching Ellie and Sandy in and out in camera. I'm pretty sure it was all in camera during the dance.
I think some are.
You're probably right, but a lot of it was enough of it was in camera for me to be impressed with that angle of it, and also just like the dancing is like really fucking cool. Like it's just a cool dance.
Music was good. I liked the Halloween dance scene. All right, I thought that was really well edited. Having that Susie and the Banshees song and like It was just it was like a very powerful scene.
Yeah,
he's very good at these very powerful like really effective scenes.
Yeah. But yeah, the fact that her one vision, the most important vision, the vision of the murder, was just not true when everything else was 100% true. Like that's a big
problem.
That's really hard for me to get past.
That's a big problem.
Like,
because they try to explain it. She says like, in a way I died up there, and it's like, yeah, but nothing. Yeah, but not in a way that.
There's nothing metaphorical about Matt Smith stabbing you 20 times in that scene.
In a way I died up there, and it's like, sure, but in a very literal way, you killed him.
Yeah, you massacred Matt Smith. Like, why didn't she see that vision?
And honestly, if you wanted to do that, again, you do it where they set it up like it looks like she's gotten murdered.
Yeah.
And then you show the end part of it later, like she sees it and sees what really happens.
There's a lot of ways to get around it. It's just, I don't know. And then that kind of leads into the reveal in the parlor when she's sitting down with Diana Rigg to drink tea or whatever, and then she just she already knows. Diana Rigg at this point already knows she's going to murder Ellie because the cops have already come by.
She set that tea up.
Yeah, she set the tea up. She's going to poison her with the tea. She already knows she's going to murder Ellie, but then offhand, she's like, oh, by the way, I picked up some of your mail by mistake. You can go through that stack over there. The only reason that's in the movie is so that we can get a point of view shot of Ellie rifling through the mail, and you can see that Diana Rigg's first name is Alexandra, which is Sandy's name.
Yeah, that was really weird.
Only fucking reason it's in there. And then 10 seconds later, she reveals that she's Sandy. So it's like, why would you set this domino up to be knocked over immediately? Like, and it's so sweaty too when it happens.
What's weird about that is that I thought I had missed something because I was like, oh, is there something important? Did she get an important letter? Did the cops mail her something? And so I thought I had missed something. And then later they just cut to the fact that she has a fucking picture of Sandy on the wall.
It's right there in her fucking parlor.
Just have her see the picture. Just have her look over and go,
the mail? Like, why would this woman who is about to murder you be like, oh, by the way, go pick up I got some of your mail by accident. You can grab it from that stack. You would not say that.
It's very weird. Yeah. There's some sweat. There's a lot of sweatiness in the third act.
I'm telling you, the third act fucking falls apart.
Yeah. Well, what's so weird about all these things is that
they're very easy fixes.
They're very easy fixes. They're bizarrely easy fixes. That's very interesting. I'm not sure what to do with that.
It's so strange. Yeah, and it's that little, like, yeah, the third act is a big old mess. And then, my God, that Terrence Stamp reveal. No, that's Lindsay. Fucking right. What?
That's weird too, because they give him like a nickname, right?
Hansy is what they call him.
And so that's a good way of getting around it, where it's like they wanted it to be ambiguous because it's supposed to be. Yeah. Oh God, is he the killer? And yeah, that was weird.
It was weird. From that point on, the movie is a real mess.
Well, I think you identify it's when she goes to stab her in the library. That's it immediately precedes the Terrence Stamp reveal. Yeah, that gets us into the third act too. Yep. That's very strange.
It's like building a glorious Lego pirate ship and then just throwing it on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I don't know. That's
I don't know. What's weird is everything you're saying is true. Weirdly, I don't care about I guess I do, because I did come out of this not like in love with it, but there was just so much visual stuff. The way he directed horror in this, which I feel like we haven't touched. Like he did the lights out thing in this, but way better. He did stuff like that. Like he does a part where she sees the ghost coming. It's in the trailer. And you see the outline of the ghost coming down the stairs, and there's a blinking light, and it keeps disappearing every time, but it's a strobing light, so the ghost keeps getting farther and farther down the stairs, and then grabs her. There's a lot of those. I really loved how he did the murdered men, how they looked, and how they have this blurred out face, because it's through Sandy's memory, apparently.
Yeah.
the reveal that they've been under her the whole time and
under
around her
and in the walls. See, that's a solid reveal.
That's like an old-timey horror reveal.
Yeah, it's very Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah.
Like, it's just very gothic horror where you just, I've been sleeping in a tomb of dead people this whole time, and I just had no idea.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. And then, just like the beginning fantasy dreams, they're still they still feel off because they're so
there's dread
eerie in nature. There's a dread.
After that first one is very rosy, and this is very intentional. Like we said, one of the themes of the movie is the demystifying all these things that we tend to hold up as, modern-ish fairy tales or, But after that first dream, there's like this sinister tinge to everything, and it just gets more and more awful every time she has, to the point where she doesn't want to go back to her apartment and go to sleep because she doesn't want to have another dream.
Yeah, I loved that evolution.
Mm-hmm.
It's just very fucking it's ridiculously tight in the way it's directed, which is funny because it's insanely loose in the way it's written.
Yeah, the script is a pretty big mess.
Yeah.
In the last chunk there.
It is. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm just I'm fascinated by the fact that, like, again, I feel like I was semi-aware of it, but I walked out of this movie not really noticing that shit. Had you not brought it up, I probably would have taken me like a week to be
it's stuck in my craw the second they revealed it. And I was like, hang on.
Yeah.
That's not what you told us. That's not the rules you told us.
Right.
You can't Calvin ball this shit just because you want to have this twist.
We talked
you
about
got to do the work
times.
to get the twist.
Yeah, consistency is key, especially when you're doing something like a murder mystery or something with a lot of twists.
Or something that deals with supernatural, where conventional rules, our conventional understanding of the world doesn't apply. So you need, and when the movie's entire premise depends on us accepting that what she sees is literally what happened, you can't just change the rules to get an ending you want.
Here's the only way that can work, and it's not how he presented, is that's the problem. Is that, again, that what they're doing the Shining thing. And that's it's my favorite type of ghost, which is that it's to say that the ghosts themselves have some awareness, but they're mostly just playing out their memories.
Mm-hmm.
Except for the end when the ghosts are literally talking to her.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's that. And so you can't even give the excuse the ghost or Sandy is tricking her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the only way it can be inconsistent, is if the ghost or a demon or whatever is specifically lying to scare somebody. But that's the problem, is the rules are very specifically, it's the Shining rules. She's watching the memories. And that is that there's ways they could have gotten around it if they made the memories exaggerated at times. If they made them more like of a metaphor,
or you go from the reveal, you go back and show us that the things she had saw weren't exactly true, but we don't do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I don't want to sit here and fix his script for him. Like,
no, of course not. It's just, it's interesting. I think that's a layer of it, is how it seems like it's hard, because when you're writing a script, obviously it's like this house of cards and everything has to fit.
Yes.
And there's this weird point where, like, it always happens where an outside party shows up and they're like, you don't need that piece anymore, right? And you like a piece that used to be load bearing, you've built up such a different structure that you don't even realize it. Where you're like, oh yeah, I had that in to make up for this other thing that I deleted 3 drafts ago. Where it's like, oh shit, didn't need that. And this does feel like it has a good amount of pieces like that.
Yeah.
Again, I would argue the entire starting premise that she's psychic, I didn't need, because it's all presented at first as dreams. So it's like, she's having these dreams.
Yeah, if it just led to the reveal that you are surrounded by dead people, then
that it's haunted. It's a haunted. Of
course, she's being haunted.
Yeah, like other horror movies don't have to set that up, unless I mean, again, like the idea of The Shining, which makes it work so well, is that it's presenting the idea everywhere is haunted. But
only certain people could see it.
Yeah, only certain people can tell. And that's I liked that a lot. But
yeah, it's fine. I don't mind the psychic angle. I just mind that it fucking breaks its own rules. That's one of my biggest pet peeves of movies.
Well, I do. I just think that there's like some extra because she never sees other ghosts of other stories. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's like you don't really need the fact that she is like again in The Shining, they're seeing layers upon layers of ghosts of different stories playing out. Whereas this, it's one very specific thing she's seeing. So it's like, well, yeah, you don't need that at all. And the movie did feel slightly too long too.
Yeah, it did. It spins its wheels for a long time in the second act.
Yeah, and that's interesting.
It takes too long to get to the quote unquote murder.
Yeah, it needed some cuts. It needed a pass. It needed an outside person.
Well, it was this. The story by credit is Edgar Wright alone, but the screenplay is him and another person.
Okay. I mean, yeah, we don't know how this was made, so...
Yeah, we don't. I'm not going to sit here and speculate, but yeah. But I mean, yeah, overall, I mostly enjoyed the film. It's hard to... His style is so cool, and he's such a good director.
It's like candy for me.
Yeah, it really is.
I'm going to watch this movie a bunch.
Probably.
And I'm glad I can confront what's wrong with it, because there is a lot. There's a lot wrong with it in the writing. It really didn't matter to me. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. Like I said, I mostly enjoyed this movie.
His style is like, it's what I want people like Wes Anderson to be more, or Quentin Tarantino, where he doesn't get in the way. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, he can quiet himself down when he needs to.
Yeah, his style is it's like noticeable. You can tell you're watching an Edgar Wright film, but it's not so noticeable that you're like, Jesus fucking Christ, man. Like it doesn't break you from the story being told. Like like this feels less exuberant than his other films.
Yeah.
But if you watch any of the scenes, they still do the things he does, like the quick cuts, the quick cutaways, stuff like that, but he knows when to do them in appropriate ways.
Yeah.
He's very good director.
Yeah, there's no comedic element to this movie whatsoever. So like,
yeah.
I mean, obviously there's a couple of jokes in it, but like it's interesting that he can apply that style and that pace that we have so, for the past almost 20 years just associated with comedy primarily to a completely separate genre, and it still works.
Yeah, it's little things. It's like a sliding scale. Like in Hot Fuzz, like hard travel cuts where he's sitting there and he loves what are they called? Match cuts? Where it's...
I don't know. You would know before I did.
It's the idea where he's on the bench and he's sleeping and then boom, suddenly it's night.
Yep.
Or like, oh, you're traveling and the way they do it in this is like she's traveling in a car and it looks out the window and then it comes back in and she's traveling in a train, and they don't do these like very hard pronounced noisy edits. It's a lot gentler. The cutaways, there's still fast cutaways, but a lot of it's in like like when Edgar Wright would do the fast cutaways, he'd usually do them in succession and they'd come with big sounds. In this, there's like smaller sounds. They're not
the intent is different too. Like the tone he's trying to, like the angel coming to the village in Hot Fuzz was meant to be like slap, bang, boom, like, Yeah. And then her going into London is supposed to be more whimsical and dreamlike because she's so excited to go.
Right. Or even before that, when she's dancing around in the dress and she opens a drawer, they do the cutaway, they cut back.
It's still muted though. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. He's able to. Yeah. He's able to do his style on a sliding scale, and that's really neat to me. And then he introduces new tricks in this. I think. Again, all the way he does the ghosts and stuff like that. It looks really good, even though a lot of it's very digital. The ghosts, the dudes are all kind of their effects are. They're very computer heavy. It still works.
There's a couple of goofy moments with the ghosts, like I don't know.
Yeah, it's not. Here's what it is it's not your traditional type. He's not afraid of the light.
No,
which
a
I
lot
appreciate.
of the haunts happen in daytime.
Yeah, I wouldn't say this is the scariest thing for me.
No,
but it's one of those things that I think a lot of horror directors need to do more, because it creates a situation where, like, he was very good at the idea of, like, at any point something could happen, and so you always feel on edge for that reason. Yeah. And again, there's no one just jumping out at you. It's none of that, really.
Not really. They're always teased before it happens, like what you said with the ghost coming down the stairs. It's a lot of that. Yeah.
So, I don't know. I want to see him do more straight-up horrors.
Me too.
Horror films, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's, I don't have much else to say.
No. I think we're done. I think we're done talking about this.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely worth seeing. It's a pretty good movie. It has a major narrative flaw that I've beaten to death at this point, so I won't belabor it any longer. But I mostly enjoyed this.
I would say people play this word fast and loose. I would call it a plot hole.
It is.
Yeah.
There's a few that her almost stabbing Jocasta in the face. And yeah, the vision thing that we already talked about.
Yeah, these are logistical problems with the rules that they set up.
Yep.
Other than that, go see it. You're going to see it. Of course you're going to see it.
Yeah, of course you're going to see it. It's good.
You probably already saw it.
Hopefully you've already seen it, because we've ruined the movie for you.
Yeah, we destroyed this movie.
Yeah, we beat this movie to death. We hit this movie with a car like Terrence Stamp. We Terrence Stamped you.
I want to know about his life, his swinging life.
Whew, yeah, he walks like he's fucked 1,000 people.
Oh yeah. He
nails it, man. He's killing it.
He is.
He's got to be 150 years old at this point too, and he looks great.
He does look great. He's doing great. He's on top of the world.
He's killing it.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, shit, folks. Thanks for listening. I want to tell you guys about our Patreon real quick. If you go to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed, for $5 a month, we have some exclusive podcasts on there, like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and Spiel Boys. Those are all on there. For $10 a month, you can also jump into our movie nights where we watch, movies at night.
Yeah, how about
Friday
that?
nights. Yeah. And, that's it.
Yeah, we also have a store. Go head over to gameplayandemploy.com where you can find a link to our Teespring store where we have all kinds of cool original designs and artwork for our different shows. You can get it on t-shirts and mugs and stickers and posters and all kinds of cool shit. So check that out.
I just got our new Mulder shirt. It's crisp.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I love it.
Just breaking E.T.'s jaw.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck E.T.
Oh. All right. I think I did that last time. I don't know. Listen,
man.
All of
you
these
can do
run
it every
together.
Time.
All of these run together.
We'll do a section. We'll be like, and now it's time for the E.T. impressions.
Yep. As long as we keep talking about that shirt, I'm going to keep making the same joke. So
yeah, that's fine.
Be ready for that.